you get into cyber and why did you stay in cyber? One.
It was definitely the mission.
Mic check.
Karaoke. Let me see if I can get a song.
Get a song. I will sing. I got into cyber because I went to a training and saw someone hack network devices that I was working on. And I was like, oh, I need to do that. That's why. Yeah, it looked fun. I was like, oh, looks like I can make some money from it. I'm still here because of the mission. Cyber's a challenge. There's a lot of challenges, puzzles, and I like to do puzzles and challenges. So that's why I stay.
And it's ever evolving. Is that why you like it too? Because it's always your own.
I don't know about that. No, yeah. What about you guys?
Sit down.
So I was a linguist. I did operations and training, and I got into IT after 9/11 because I was things are changing for me. So I was going to be at a desk job. So I figured if I'm going to have to sit behind a desk, somebody better pay me for it. And I got into network engineering, and I was a really bad network engineer because I was breaking everything, which kind of made me a good cyber person. But it wasn't a thing back then. So we were in the basement, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. And a few years later, when it actually became more of a thing and wireless was starting to take off, then they all told us, come on up here. What were you telling us? And it kind of took a life of its own. And that's how I got into cyber. What keeps me, the mission, I believe in it. I think our nation is facing a major issue of cyber warfare. That's where it is. And we have to grow our next generation, upskill and reskill in order to protect our way of life. So I just passionately believe in it.
I would say it was a mission, but I started in cybersecurity about 2 or 3 weeks after 9/11. So we just moved back to the States. We moved up here to DC. 9/11 happened the day we moved to the area. Yeah, that was pretty freaky going to Walmart. Nobody was talking. When Walmart's quiet, something's wrong. But I got the opportunity to work for the State Department doing disaster recovery training for all the embassies and consulates. And that got me into vulnerability management and then into metrics and then strategy. What keeps me here is we're making a difference every day. I remember raising 2 children when you're a working mom and you're going to DC every day and you're spending so much time commuting and then working late. I had to justify my time away from my kids. And I felt like I was helping protect, and that helped me justify it. I wasn't there for the money. I'm still not, which is a problem.
I'll ask the next question then. So what's your favorite memory of being here with WSC?
That's a tough one. Yeah.
I have to say Wicked Six, the original. That was so much fun. It was all hands on deck. We were embracing cybersecurity. We were bringing the women together. If you remember, we had the award ceremony afterwards. It was dope. It was cool. That was a great memory. We still have pictures. That was cool.
I don't have just one. Like the last 10 years has been great. Stressful, but great. You know, making an impact and seeing all the folks that have come to this event and to all of the events and the support and the networking and people making connections. Like those are probably the best memories because that's what we do this for, right? Sleepless nights and, you know, not eating because I don't eat very much. And, but it's worth it to see the impact.
I have several, but there are a few that really stick through my mind. The first one is our first retreat, Sterling. I remember it very well because we were so enthusiastic trying to brainstorm and do all these charts and develop what programs do we want to develop? How do we want to structure it? We were just 2 years in, if even that. And there was a little bit too much schnapps involved. Yeah, I'm pedaling on my bike on the trainer, and a few folks who I'm not going to name, were doing different type of training. Lots of joking. And I remember this very well because it was the first time I had to put on reading glasses because I couldn't see. And the second one that really sticks through my mind is the first inaugural award ceremony. There was we had so much energy. We worked so hard, just the planning. We didn't know what we were doing. We were totally winging it. It was at Busboys and Poets in Maryland, and it was one of the best events ever. And all of us were just really excited and happy, and it went really well, but we were so nervous, all of us. I know I was so nervous. I was sweating like some farm animal from the nerves, but it was actually a very incredible experience. Yeah.
So, do you have any thoughts on the fact, well, it looks like Putin is gonna be not in command anymore. What do you think, those implications may be for cyber? Do you think it's gonna be better, same?
I'm not answering that.
I can't.
I don't even know. Not part of our talking point. That was not a part of it.
Next.
Let's talk about that during the reception.
How old are you? What are your deepest, darkest errors? kidding.
43, I think my body failing me.
That's
a good one.
It's a fear.
That's a good one.
Well, I'll just make a quick comment too. So this is my first Cyberjutsu con, and it's been just amazing from beginning to end. I joined the board in 2019, we think, right before COVID. I was at that Wicked Six, that amazing Wicked Six in Las Vegas in the esports arena. That was pretty amazing. But I'm just so impressed every second that I've been here since we started with our board meeting yesterday, and then reception afterwards. Just everybody, it's incredible to see the community and the networking opportunities this offers everybody coming into this arena. It's really been amazing. So this is going to be one of my best memories. And just a little hint on the board meeting we had, a strategy session. You know, this is the 10 years now of WSC, and now we are come together to brainstorm, to strategize, and to come put together in the next several months as we lean into the next year, the next 10 years of WSC, and it's going to be more and more of the same for all of the members to grow the community. So I'm really looking forward to that.
That's Monica, by the way.
I'm Monica, by the way.
I was gonna say, can we introduce ourselves?
Right. So I'm Monica Ricci, and I'm on the board of directors. I'm the treasurer, and I'm actually not. I'm in technical field, but I'm not in cyber. But I have been working with technology and women in technology for years and years and years. And so the mission of WSC and the mission of cyber games and what that has to do to grow a skill set, especially among underrepresented communities, was very near and dear to me. So I don't think I didn't hesitate when Jessica and Mary said, come on board and help us out.
No, you're next.
Elena Steinka. That's my name. I've been here since almost from the beginning, watched this grow. We grew with it. We didn't know, we didn't have a major plan. We had an idea, we had a concept, but we kind of rolled with it, and it took a life of its own. And we all, I think, really grew with it and developed. I remember when we were talking about, I think it was 2 years before we got our 401, the tax status, the C301, whatever. Mary's the guru. Nobody knew anything. She didn't do finances. Nobody knew the legal stuff, and we didn't have any money to get anybody to do this. So we were on the IRS website downloading, trying to de-geek and understand this language. So Mary pulled it off, actually, as she pulls everything else off. But we totally learned and grew with it professionally and otherwise. So I've been here for a while. In my real life, I work for the Army in cyber. I'm actually right now in Germany. I have another 2 years of my tour left before I come back. I'm in Wiesbaden. So if you pass by, feel free to stop by. I miss speaking English. I work in Clay Casern, if you're familiar. And I've been in cyber for about 20 years.
Hello. Okay, it works. So Mary Galloway, the CEO and a founding board member of this awesome organization with these awesome women and all of you awesome participants in the conference today and as members. Yeah, I've been here since the beginning. I failed CISSP and found a study group that Lisa was running and joined it and then started going to workshops. And she invited me to the board, and Marcel's on our board as well. She's been around since the beginning as well. But yeah, it's a great group of people. It's like a family. You know, her kids have gone through our training. You know, I met her kids when she first came on the board, and she's an adult now. And it's just kind of cool to see the evolution of the members, the leadership, the volunteers as we go through the years. I also work for a company as a sales engineer selling SOC automation tools. So if you ever need some SOC automation tools, let me know.
Jessica Gulick, and I sit on the board. Somewhere around 2014, I was introduced to Lisa, one of our founders, and by Dan Manson, who said, you guys really need to speak because I am passionate about cyber as a sport. And Lisa was passionate about women in cyber, and he wanted to introduce us. And Lisa and I then connected at Black Hat in 2015. And we chatted about where she wanted to take the organization. And I wanted to help. I mean, I was all in. If I can help with strategy and bring more business to the organization to help it grow. And I just remember meeting the board members for the first time a few weeks after that, and seeing what a penetration testing workshop looks like. But I have to admit, when I went back to the office where they were sitting, they had me at Duck Donuts. So, but it was great because meeting the board members back then, what I realized is that Cyberjutsu is something very unique. It is a community that is inclusive of all kinds. And when I say that, I mean that during that board member meeting, I don't know if I was talking to you, Marcel, or somebody, but I realized the majority of the members within Cyberjutsu at the time and still today are boomerangs. And they come from all walks of life, not just from school, if you will. They've done something else in their life and they wanted to get into cyber. And this organization helped to encourage them and really provide what they needed to do so. And I wanted to be a part of that. My day job is running Cat's Eye, where half of our business is focused on helping cybersecurity businesses grow. The other half of my business is Play Cyber. You might have heard some of the programs of Play Cyber Global League, US Cyber Games. Wicked Six is our signature event we do with WSC as a fundraiser. And you'll hear lots and more. You'll know if I'm successful and happy, even if we don't keep in touch in about 5 to 10 years, if we start seeing cybersecurity games being played on TV where you can watch it and there's visualizations and you understand what's going on. I really am a big believer in the sport pieces of it because I think, Monica, the way you said it, games are really, they're fundamentally the most inclusive thing. I mean, if you think about it, how did you learn how to play Mario? You just played. So cybersecurity should be like Mario to, the next generation.
Okay. My name's Amina Jamali. I am not a board member, but hopefully someday. So I joined WSC in 2020. So upon graduating from my master's in cybersecurity, which I was in the first place because politics did not look like it was going to work out for me. So this was my transition field already. Graduating from undergrad, immediately had to transition. But it was 2020 and there was nothing entry level open. And I remembered that someone had said in a presentation about some women's organization. And I was just like, okay, maybe this is it. I got to go here. Maybe this is my chance. And so that is how I got in contact with WSC in June of 2020, only a couple months after graduating. And this organization actually has led me to my first job. It also came at a really pivotal time in my life. So if any of you know a little bit more about me, I'm also an epic fantasy author. So as it turns out, I was starting the first draft of the book that got published at the same time that I joined this organization. They did go hand in hand. And so there are things that I took from here and I put into that. Probably some of you got put into my characters, whether you realize it or not.
Oh, boy, he's the villain.
Oh, no, not in that direction.
Not in that direction.
In the good directions. So, and I do know at least 2 of my 3 books do actually mention WSC by name in the acknowledgements, since that was actually part of how I became comfortable enough to talk about some of the things I wanted to talk about as a woman. So I'm hoping that that confluence of WSC and cyber, making a difference in that direction, and my books continue to work together in the future, since there are a lot more exciting things coming, which I can't talk about yet because they don't have a plot, but they are coming someday.
Their books are great. I don't even read those kind of books, but the books were great. I was like on the edge, like, okay, what's next? What's next? And like really feeling the characters in the book. So they're really good.
Any other questions? No pressure,
No pressure.
no pressure.
This is totally
I'm only
informal.
just joining, so I'm gonna ask questions.
Go.
Any questions?
Ask a
questions?
question. Any
Yeah,
questions?
ask a question.
All right, so my question is gonna be, how do you get into the Slack channels? There's a couple that are different purposes. So people wanna know, do they need to be a member to do so, like for the CTF Slack channel, or how do they join?
No, Slack is open. The CTF, there is a link specifically for that, but there's also a form on the website that says join Slack. You can just fill that out and we'll add you to the Slack channel.
Marcel.
You want to come up?
Do you have any questions?
I was trying to think of, I was gonna think of a really hard one, but I haven't come up with it yet.
The sky is blue and the answer is 42.
Anyone want to know what my characters would think of this conference?
Yes.
Okay. It depends on the character, and we won't discuss the villain. That's not a PG-13 conversation. So I think that the character who is the female lead of my prequel, Riketta, would absolutely love this. She'd probably be the sort who stands on the stage and answers your questions, but doesn't smile. Because her background is she is a warrior princess, one of the 2 most powerful in her world. So she definitely is very much a teacher of women, works with women, has led women, been in many high intensity situations with women, firm believer in those things. But she's also not necessarily the sort who speaks publicly about those things. But she's the one who you'd want planning this event. Not that y'all aren't amazing on planning. I'm just saying that she would get things done in a way that would be awfully militaristic, but efficient.
Okay, I like that.
And her husband is an ally, definite ally.
I like that. That's in the prequel?
Yes, prequel.
I need to get that. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
So what are our plans for Cyberjutsu Con next year? Like, are we gonna have one super?
Ooh, that is a good question. Hello, Tia. Welcome to the club. We are not going to have it in Vegas because there's too many conferences in Vegas and it's too hot.
Germany?
I don't know. I think we might try California since we have a large population of folks in SoCal. And it's easier for me to get to California because I live in Las Vegas. I can just drive. Right now, still going to be around the same time, but thinking maybe SoCal and have the SoCal chapter help put that together and organize it. Yeah. And we might have massage chairs and the mental health village this time. So if there's a, yes, with massage chairs. So all of the sponsors in the audience, please come talk to me because we need the money to help put this on, just FYI.
Another.
Ooh, yeah. So my friend works at Stretch Labs. They actually just stretch you. And I mean,
Whoa, hold on a
Stop.
second.
like if you have issues with stretching, they help you with different types of stretches. And so that's kind of cool. Goes with the massage. Yeah. Good question. Really, Marcel?
Is it a practical one or a experiential and intangible?
Anything.
Okay. What have I already not said?
You're exempt.
For me, especially as I morphed into leadership roles, support. It's huge, just support, be able to bounce things off. Confidence, encouragement, just to have a tribe who understands. Yesterday, you saw, I was bawling to Mary. Life happens, things happen, you encounter new situations professionally, and the road is different for everyone, but I think within this community, there is an understanding that I may not find outside, and I can get the guidance or work through things, talk through things, even if somebody hasn't necessarily encountered it, but there's a sense of community and understanding. So definitely support, confidence, professional development, and just a sense of community.
It's a hard question.
Also seeing everyone grow is incredible.
I think what she said, the community, right? It's like a family. We've watched people's kids grow up with this organization, watched people go from entry-level positions to leadership positions. And it's like, we're cheering each other on every step of the way. And can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, but you gotta speak in. Streaming.
Okay. It keeps messing up. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just the community, the fellowship, the friendships. Some of my best friends are out of this group from when I was 15, quote unquote, to 10 years later at 25, quote unquote.
Dream on.
It's just the community. There's so much support here, no matter what you're going through, whether it's professional, whether it's life. They talk you off ledges. I was on the ledge last night, and Siobhan that was sitting outside talked me off the ledge, and
Mary talked me off the
and
ledge
I talked her off the
yesterday.
ledge yesterday.
did
So
you,
it's just the
Marcel.
community.
Actually, my kids, they stopped by, as you all saw. Last time some saw them, they were this size, and my kids don't know anything else other than Cyberjutsu. And my son loves YouTube, and I don't know what he does, Discord, YouTube. I don't know, watches Minecraft videos. I don't know what he does, but every time he sees a WC or a Cyberjutsu sticker on somebody's laptop or in the background, he sends me that link to the YouTube video, and he's like, "Mom, one of your people." I'm like, I don't even know who it is, but that's great that they have our logo on their laptop.
Yeah.
shared life experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say one practical thing I haven't already said is the opportunity to speak about my ideas. It is not so easy to speak about ideas, no matter how great they are. Publishing books has not changed that it's difficult. Years of presentation practice in high school didn't change that. Particularly as a woman of color, not so easy to talk about one's ideas on a public stage. And Cyberjutsu has actually given me a public stage to start talking about ideas. And that has been invaluable. I mean, now that I've spoken here, could I not speak elsewhere? And I mean, I just remind myself of that. I've already done it once, so I can do it elsewhere.
This one's still on? Yeah. I'll just make a quick comment for me. It's the people, and that's a little bit different than the community, absolutely, but it is the people and what meeting everybody has inspired me to do. You know, sometimes you just go through life and you have good intentions and then sort of life takes over and sometimes your intentions just sort of fall into the background, but meeting all the people inspires me all of the time to act and to do and to help. So I come away from these kinds of meetings and these discussions just reinvigorated to now how am I going to put that into action?
Yay. We love Monica. Monica's great.
Everybody's great.
Is it time?
Surprise, surprise.
Now, what motivates you to be up your opposition?
So
I'll
what
repeat- I'll
drives
repeat the
me,
question? Yes.
what drives me to do public speaking is to get paid.
Public speaking.
Not today. Sharing my story and being able to share that, because that was something that I wasn't always able to share because I didn't feel like it was a story that, you know, I hear everybody else's stories like I come from the struggle, I come from this, I come from whatever, and I didn't come from that. My folks were military, so, you know, we lived a pretty decent life. You know, we didn't struggle or anything. And it's like, oh, my story's not as important. But then as I started to tell those stories about failing the CISSP and like having hardships at work, it was like that resonates with people. So that's why I like to do it.
So this is complicated. I'm a little bit socially awkward, perhaps, a little scared of a stage. So it's somewhat of a challenge. And you can tell when I'm nervous because I sound like I'm fresh off the boat. Suddenly my English just goes to shit for positions. I start mixing them up. So you can tell when I'm nervous. So it's somewhat of overcoming a personal challenge. Definitely what Mary said as well, but also being an example to other women to try and encourage them to do it. If you want others, I'm old, so I feel like I have to kind of like open the door for the younger generation and do as I do versus as I say. Obviously, whoever comes in next, those that come in next, not whoever, many like Alma herself do it much better. And I'm very proud of that. But a part of it I started was in order to try and open the door. But I think people need to hear different perspectives as well. And I learn a lot from being out there.
Promoting my books. No, just kidding. Well, I think there is an element of this is, I mean, without public speaking, there is no way of actually putting diversity into practice. Just simply being the face in the room, being the strange face in the room does not actually.
See, I told you she can do it better and she just articulated it better.
Well, I had the time to prepare while you were speaking. So it's that the chance to actually then be the diverse voice rather than just like the diverse wallflower. Wildflowers are pretty, but there's something different about being the one who's actually speaking. And I think this also kind of goes to something I realized. Okay, this is about my books, but only sort of. While I was doing started doing those events, I realized that being the person who looks like some of the girls that I would encounter, who is actually on the stage and able to speak, told them that they could do it too. Okay, so I'm obviously very much younger, but when I was in my early teens, mid-teens, late teens, I didn't see anyone who looked like me who could speak in front of people. That wasn't a role model I even had. It's just different to be able to look onto the stage and see someone who, okay, maybe they don't necessarily look exactly like you, but they at least look different from everyone else there. And being that for someone else, that is thrilling and addicting. That maybe someone will look at me and be like, I can do that and I can do it better. Okay, if you can do it better, go ahead.
I'll make a comment. So what motivates me to do public speaking? Was that the question? So my job is actually corporate marketing. And so I contribute a lot to storytelling in many, many forms, whether it is writing a paper or writing a storyboard for a video that's going to be created, et cetera. But all of those formats and all of those media types, none of them invigorate me as much as actually speaking live in front of people. I'm actually, I used to speak quite a lot at conferences, large and small. And I'm one of those annoying speakers where I wouldn't be up here. I can't stay up here. I'm going to come down and I'm going to walk through the audience while I'm presenting slides or telling a story, because it's the reaction and it's the interaction. You can think you're telling a wonderful story, but you don't know that unless you're actually having that dialogue with the people that you were telling the story to. So that's that is what motivates me.
Marcel, any more difficult questions?
Bring it on, Marcel. Come on.
My daughter's here volunteering, so she's out there doing stuff. But as a parent, what advice do you give to the young female teenagers who are interested in cyber and IT?
I have a daughter and I have a son. So everyone is different. Every situation is different. Every family is different. I raise them the same. They are just very different. Same house, same parents, same everything, night and day different. My daughter has been through the Cyber Academy twice, the Girls Academy. She volunteered a year or two. She knows everything about cyber. She doesn't want to have anything to do with cyber. She's in school. She wants to be a cardiologist. My son used to come and volunteer to help because my husband, my daughter came. So we didn't have a babysitter. So he came, and he never was formally trained, but he loves IT and cyber, just who they are. I think the introduction, and my daughter isn't per se an example, but I think a part of what I've noticed from my daughter's friends or the kids that I know, a part of introducing girls to cyber is introducing it in a way they like to learn. I work with the Civil Air Patrol, if you're familiar with it. Yep. I do the Defender Academy, the Cyber Academy. I teach a lot of the Linux classes. Just before COVID, yep. Where is it? Sorry. So just before COVID, we did a Defender Cyber Academy in Fort Meade for about a week, and I was teaching the Linux classes, and I was also the TAC officer. So I was staying with the girls, living with them. My God, girls are loud, let me tell you. And we had a whole lot of cadets and 16 girls, which is unheard of. It was the first time I had 16 girls. It's because they heard that there is a female teacher. And I was trying really hard to explain certain things to them, and they were struggling to understand. And that's a generalization. The boys didn't have as much of a difficulty understanding. They got the concept. I think it was, if memory serves me right, yes, it was the Linux file structure. And I tried in different ways, and they were new to this, and they just couldn't understand it. And I was trying to figure out, how do I explain it to them? And I said to them, all right, let's think about Star Trek, the Borg. And they looked at me. Okay, not your generation. You don't know the Borg. Shoes. Who likes shoes? Suddenly the girls perked up. Let's talk about Jimmy Choo's shoes in a closet. Jessica Simpson, Prada. And I explained the Linux file structure in a language they could understand. And they went, light bulb moment. The last day of the Cyber Defender Academy, we have a competition. the girls won over the boys and all the girls were new. So sometimes it's a matter of tailoring, and not all the girls are the same, but it's providing it in a way that is interesting to them. And as a parent and as somebody who teaches kids, that's my opinion, especially with girls, I think you have one opportunity to get their interest just once, and you do it right. Because if you turn them off, that's not my daughter per se. She's just not an IT person. But I've noticed a lot of the cadets that come through the Cyber Patriots or the different classes, I have only one shot to get their interest. If I lose that girl, chances are I'm not going to get her back. Am I the only parent?
Yes.
Wow. Of a girl? Okay. Wow. Yeah.
What she said was good. You got to appeal to we did that with CGA. We had to appeal to what they were experiencing, what they were going through. And, you know, at that time, social media was a big thing, phones, YouTube. And so we appealed to that.
So
And that got them involved and interested in it.
So actually from raising my kids, I found something very interesting. My son loves to go to Home Depot with my husband, with his dad. He knows at the age of 5, he knew what a copper cable was, an RJ45, just those things that my daughter couldn't care less. She just couldn't care less. So when I was trying to introduce these things to her, he already had some kind of basic foundation and she didn't. So there are certain things that certain people gravitate to more. So that's why it's very important to introduce it in a way.
Gotta get younger. Yes.
Mhm.
Younger girls.
So having been a teenage girl who was not interested in IT, I think it was partly that it could not be forced, like Elena is saying, could not be forced. When I decided I wanted to enter cybersecurity, I decided to enter it. And if you had tried to persuade me even a year earlier, wasn't going to work. And that too, that persuasion had to happen, as Elena said, through the thing I was already interested in. I would also say, and this is what my parents who are in the audience very much did, and that is that there wasn't really this, when in their encouragement, there wasn't really this like, okay, so you have to measure up to the boys, measure up to the men. There was more that you can do it. Okay, so what, that it's a male dominated field. So what? You can do it. Aren't you smarter? Aren't you better? So almost a sort of like an encouragement that was challenging rather than necessarily rather than just sort of like coddling, more of challenge. Of course you can do it. Why do you think you can't do it? And that was important to pushing me forward. There were times that, I mean, transitioning from politics to cyber, I was sort of like, I really don't get it. And my parents were just, you're so brilliant. You understood that particular thing about Plato's Republic. Of course you can get this. Why do you think you can't? That kind of, I mean, okay, having been a teenage girl not that long ago, teenage girls are very stubborn. So so kind of tapping into that is something that if people, I certainly did it to myself, but people also did it to me. And that thing usually works where the explanations and the coddling and the cajoling and things like that fall short. Letting them be rebellious and stubborn on the way to choosing the path to their own greatness.
Any final questions, comments, concerns, stories, thoughts?
Can you repeat the last question? I'm sorry. Mary.
what other isms do you face outside of gender? Racism, sexism, oh, we said that already. Ageism. I'm only 25, so I don't have that problem right now.
Opinionism, opinionism.
That's true.
Oh, yeah. Oh, an opinionated female in DOD in a leadership role that wears high heels, that doesn't align necessarily with certain terminology or what they've done before.
You need to go to Raketa's country. Islamophobia. Simply the ism about not wanting to see any aspect of personal life at work because that's just uncomfortable. That's very difficult to adhere to when one wears religious dress. Also, child of immigrants. Yes. So child of immigrants, sometimes the assumption that I don't speak English fluently. I am not a native English speaker, but I speak English fluently. I also write fluently. So sometimes, like that really irritating thing when people like try to over enunciate their words because they presume you don't understand English. Yes.
Oh, as a person with an accent, especially when they raise their voice, because English is your second language, so they raise their voice and I have to tell them, my hearing is fine.
And my comprehension of the language is just as good as yours. Yes, if not better. So those sorts of things. Sometimes also the kind of the reverse, that assuming that my life experiences are the exact same as yours because the other person is, of course, thinking that diversity, equity, and inclusion mean to assume that everyone is the same. Look, that's not inclusive because my life experiences are definitely different. And being authentic in the workplace or in the community, in whichever social aspect of us as people also means like recognizing that, yes, our life experiences are different. So there's also that ism.
Any other questions? Hello, Tanisha. Welcome. Hello, John. What's your question?
About being a strong woman. What have you done to be successful in that environment? That's the world I work in, and I have seen that.
Okay, so first of all, disclaimer, I'm not here representing my employer. I'm not speaking on behalf of the government. I am here as a board member. I am speaking on my personal experience in general. Again, I'm not representing anybody other than Cyberjutsu. So I've worked for various agencies, private sector, commercial sector, government contractor, European company, other federal agencies outside of DoD, Defense Health Agency, and Army. Where I am right now, Army has been by far the best government experience I've ever had. When I leave, no, I'm serious. It's reasonably easy, but not challenge free. But in general, I think working in the DoD environment, and I'm encompassing everything, and I'll actually even stick civilian agencies into it. It's just very difficult because there is a network. They have prior experience. They speak their language. I didn't serve in the military. There is a certain thing. And so this is really hard to articulate, but I am coming in, I don't fit in culturally. I don't speak their language. They don't know what to do with me. They just don't know what to do with me. They don't have women there. I don't care what they say. They don't really have too many women. Some places have more, some less. And they just don't know what to do. So there is some kind of awkwardness. And when a leader comes in, especially in the DoD environment, they tend to be strong, opinionated, they speak with confidence. It doesn't work out quite as well with women. It's perceived slightly differently. If you're a female wearing a uniform, that's expected, that's normal. Civilian in a dress, it's a little bit, again, it depends. Sometimes it's the climate, it's different by the people. I will say that it usually takes me a while to build trust for them to get to know me and vice versa. I do have to overcome a lot of challenges. I get a lot of pushbacks. Usually you don't get pushback if your leader said something, especially in these environments. The guys don't get it. I get it. Once I build trust, it gets easier. But when I come in, I have to prove myself. I get judged on accomplishments versus talent. I have to establish myself. It's not, look, we've got a very talented person that came in, a guy, give him a chance. My mistake is remembered. I can't afford the same mistakes, certainly not in the beginning. So I just have to work harder. I have to be, that's me. That's how I feel. I have to be very cautious how I do things and how I say things, so it's not misinterpreted, because I feel guys judge us harder, and especially women can judge us harder sometimes. So I have to kind of be careful. If a guy is nice, he's just nice. If I'm nice, I have an agenda. I don't have an agenda per se, or, so I just have to be very mindful. And once I build the relationships and they get to know me, it's usually fine. But coming in, I just have to be very mindful, if that makes sense. I have to really tune in and get a feel for the culture and find a way to adapt before I make any changes or propose or navigate it. So it's it's exhausting, actually. I don't think a lot of guys have to go through it, but it can be pretty exhausting, if that makes sense as an answer.
That was a good answer.
It was a really good answer.
I'm embarrassed. Again, I'm not representing the government. My personal experience.
Any other questions? That's good. No, I thought I would just amplify, repeat what you said. Any other questions? All right.
Marcel, your head's in front of the camera. That's it.
Well, thank you guys. Thanks so much.
Yep. We have snacks at 3. There's like a midday break snacks at 3. We also have our reception at 5, from 5 to 6, and then our 10th annual Cyberjutsu Awards, which Miss Tia Hopkins is going to be giving us a quick speech. And then so make sure you guys come back and hang out with us after the break.